Oh, hello everybody. How are you? Ganon's laughing at us in this song, and I'm not a big fan of it, so we're stopping that.
It's a good start.
It is. Yo, I got Hurf with me. Say hi, Hurf.
Hi, Hurf.
Perfect. So tonight is bosses. What do we know about bosses? Well, they're in charge. They usually tell you what to do, but now with Link to the Past, it's your time to fight back and take their assets, I guess. So,
are they also in charge if they're large?
Some of them aren't large, like this first boss that we're, in the Hyrule Castle to do. And this to me is an important boss. And you ask, why is it important? Well, you have a sword when we're starting with sword. In open assured, so like you could go fight this boss right now with 3 hearts. So this is what we're gonna do. So an idea here, this boss takes 8 sword slashes, and it's really easy to get hit, like I'm doing, and then you could die, and that's tragic. So you don't want to do that. Let's get rid of the green boy again, and I'm gonna make another save state. So a really good idea here, and Hurf can yell at me if I'm doing this wrong. If you find this like nice little spot, you can avoid the ball. There's maybe about the size of Link that can allow you to avoid that ball that's swinging. What's good about that, if you can kind of hit him to the left, you can kind of get this key in the perfect position where you just walk up and go see the lady, and then she talks to you for a really long time.
Optimally, you kind of want to hit the guard towards where the cell door is, so the key drops in front of it, so you don't have to walk around a lot, saving time. Any second counts. It's not really a huge deal, especially if you hit him in the corner like this, as Daaanty's showing right now. As long as you don't die, anything's better than dying.
Yeah, if you die, that's a really big time loss. Another option for this, these pots, they do tempered sword damage. So you see a lot of people do this, and we're just going to get 2 pots. 2 of these will kill him. Wow, I missed. I'm good. So this was all according to plan, so it would knock the key back to where I need it to be. Obviously,
you can also...
Go ahead.
You can grab some hearts from those pots if you're in any danger. You got hit a little bit too much. They're all gone now, but there are some hearts under those pots. So if you're in any danger, go back, grab a pot, grab a heart, throw a pot at the guard. It kind of solves itself.
Another thing to note, so I'm going to have Master Sword here, and the beams do the same amount of damage as Fighter Sword. I need to actually make a save state with Fighter Sword or Master Sword here. I need him to hit me one time. So if you don't have beams, if you're slashing, you're going to notice, I'll probably die here. It's doing the same amount of damage as well. And that's kind of the theme of Light World. All the Light World bosses are going to do basically the same amount of damage on Master Sword as they do on Fighter Sword. It's a weird quirk of the game. Obviously spinning is ideal, but it's a little tricky to line this up to like make it worth your time. So a lot of times we just would say either get the pots or just do the 8. Yeah, that's the hardest boss in the game. Wouldn't you say so, Hurf?
I mean, he's definitely claimed a lot of victims, and
yeah,
there's a lot of potential for optimization. If you ask any energy speedrunner.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I say he's the hardest boss in the game is because if you do take a death to this guy early on, a lot of people do get a little tilted by that, because you do know you've lost a good chunk of time right at the start, but, it's not the end of the world, until the one time that it is. Anyway, obviously, if you have, I should reload the state, if you have tempered or gold sword, this fight is much easier. Just 2 slashes. Gold would be 1 slash, or you could dash through him. Really no big deal. Another scenario would be the bow. I loaded the wrong thing. That's fine. Silver bow dash kill. So Dawn wants to see some cool strats. Let's just give ourselves the bow. I mean, obviously a silver arrow is going to kill the guy in one go. I do need some arrows to do this, I think, yeah?
I would say so.
I think I accidentally gave myself silvers.
Well, I mean, it certainly didn't look like they were silver arrows that you were shooting, but they definitely did the damage.
Yeah, the practice hack is really good. Normal bow. Let's see. What is wrong with my bow here? It's silver. All right. Well, it takes 4 shots with the bow. It takes 1 with the silvers. You know, one thing to make note of this guy, as well as just the guys in Aga Tower that are the gold versions, Ice Rod does no damage to them. Hammer's going to do tempered sword damage. Be mindful of your... Yeah, I don't have the updated one right now, Trinexx. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's enough of this boss. This boss is easy, unless somebody has a specific thing or a specific question before we move on to the real bosses of the game. This is where we play the Jeopardy music. All right.
I wish we had we should have coded a thing where it like randomly goes through these, you know, like a spinning wheel in The Price is Right.
That would be pretty good.
And then once it's picked, it can't be picked again. That would have been so sweet.
All right, so let's see. Let's make the save state. So this is Armos. Ideally, you want to just use 18 arrows to kill these guys. The way we play this game, or the way you guys are going to be playing it, there is 0 chance you're going to get to this room without a bow. So we're going to just kind of talk about the bow. The Ice Rod guard throw. Yeah, we could go back and do that one, Malmo. So basically, with this, there's basically each Armos takes 3 arrows to kill. And I'm going to do it kind of like the Let's Play way, where I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And you're going to see I'm going to shoot 2 into that bottom guy. And I'm going to make sure I don't get the quick kill here. So this guy should only take 1 more hit, right? Well, that's kind of wrong. And the reason it's wrong is because for some reason the game's coded so when that Armos goes into enraged mode, his health refills. And when that happens, then we can't actually, kill him in 1 more shot. So you can waste arrows that way if you're not careful. There are a couple of ways to kind of do a somewhat quick kill. You can do it from down here at the bottom right. You want to make sure you fire 2 that way. And then we're kind of just going left and shooting. It's definitely something you need to get a feel for. Like, there's no really good lineups or methods for it, I guess, is a good way to put it in my mind, which sounds terrible. The start point, you do want to be kind of like right underneath this guy. So I'm getting 2 shots here. After I've got the 2, or the 1 in that first guy and the 2 on the right side, Armos, you're going to want to fire 2 to your left. And as long as you keep one of the Armos off of its starting point, they're not going to start spinning yet. So you can kind of use that to your advantage. And we've gone through those 2, so now, again, just kind of counting through, you should be able... I lost 1. Knock them all out. It's not so bad. I'm not very experienced with that kill. Herf, do you see that kill very often?
I mean, that's the kill I try to do and fail every time, so kind of.
Okay. All right, so that, you're more familiar with that one.
I mean, even as you just saw, even if you miss it, it's not very hard to just get the normal kill on that one. Because you're right next to the guy, you just shoot 2 more arrows. You're just going to be aware of the fact that he's going to turn red and have full health again, so he's going to need 3 arrows again instead of the 1 that you might be expecting. So don't just, blindly run into him after shooting 1 arrow and maybe die or something like that.
Yeah, and as Espion is pointing out here in chat, this is the Ice Armos strat. So I'm not covering Ganon's Tower. That is going to be Sailor Nep tomorrow. We're going to let her cover the whole thing. And, I mean, it's kind of a mimic of that. The one you see a lot in NMG is getting a starting point of about right here. So the way to line yourself up for this, I usually walk in, if no boots, and I touch this guy. Like, I'm literally walking into him. They can't hurt you until they activate, which is totally fine. So I'm going to position my body just a little to the right here. And it's very forgiving. I guess everyone has said that in their segments. But basically, I'm kind of at this point. This is my starting point. So the idea here is that you want to fire 5 arrows to your right, and then we're going to go over to the left side and start firing down. It's one of those things where I have to kind of do it, and then I can kind of talk through it afterwards. So after we did that first 5 to the right, and I totally missed that guy. When I slow this down, it's so much harder. So we're going to come in, start this up, shoot 5 to the right, and then I'm going to walk left and line myself up vertically above the other ones. And then I'm going to start firing down while kind of moving down and slightly moving to the right. And then that's the quick kill I'm more adverse to. There are some more advanced ones that I'm not really going to go into tonight that involve shooting some arrows in different directions. But yeah, that's the one I see the most often as far as like this goes. We'll turn on the silvers. I think they're turned on here. Silvers is easy. You kind of want to do this from the bottom. And obviously it's just 1 per. There's really not a super fast way to do this, except just don't miss your shot. Yeah, Krellbell's right there in chat. Like, the quick kill is definitely something that is much easier than it appears. It also, if you're me, I used to think it looked really easy, so I was just going to do it in a race without practicing it, and that did not go well. It's definitely something you need to spend probably 10 to 15 minutes on, and you'll get used to it. Herf, you got anything else to add about our friends Armos?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. I mean, as you said, there's a couple different other strats where you fire arrows in various directions, but, you know, this one's relatively easy to learn, and it's definitely worth the time.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some strats here. I guess you stand in the middle, which I've never really done. I guess we can play with this. See, this is why I don't stand in the middle, because I do weird stuff. I'm not going to teach something I don't feel like I'm very comfy with, I guess. But yeah, all right, that is that one. Chat, throw something in there if you need some more clarification, and do it with the boomerang. Well, I would. So what is it? 40? What is it? Her 48, or is it 46 HP that each Armos has?
48, I want to say.
Yeah, I just know that the boomerang does, whether it be blue or red, does 1 HP of damage. Like, it actually damages Armos, but then you've got to... it's 48, okay. So then, yeah, you just have to hit them 48 times each. It takes a really long time. Yeah, never worth. Vortex is absolutely right there. Yeah, I'm definitely not good enough at this game for this. We're not going over NMG Landmo. Not once. Not even once. Where's my equipment? So let's start with ideal equipment here. We're going to switch up to silvers. Herp, you like fighting Landmo with silvers, don't you?
Who doesn't?
I mean, yeah, they're pretty free. So there's a couple ways to do this. One way I like to do it, if you have boots, if you bonk, you're going to be in the perfect Y position as far as like up and down goes. So what you want to do is wait for these guys to kind of get ready to pop out. And there's like 3 wiggles they do, and you fire. As I miss one. It's really... let's see. I got to make sure I count these out. Also have to turn on my silvers again to make a save state. Because clearly I'm very adverse with the practice hack. This will work. So once they're at full maximum bulging in the ground or whatever, I guess, then they kind of wiggle back and forth 3 times. So that would be on its second, I think. Now we're on the 3rd. And then it's back again. And he should be coming out here. Yeah, see, he's coming out now. So on that 3rd one, if you fire left, he's going to be dead. Now, I got hit, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, I guess, I should say. Let's make that save state. Perfect. All right, so we're going to look for the 3 wiggles. And I usually buffer it. You probably noticed I would tap a direction and then tap the direction I want to fire. And I use that as my own mental buffer of being able to say, okay, that's the gap I need before I fire again. Because if you just start spamming the Y button, you're not going to have a good time in this fight. I guess, okay, I was about to say we despawned the wall because it's just chilling. We'll go through this a couple more times just to kind of show it, and you'll see what I'm talking about with the whole buffering thing. And that's I literally just use those taps as kind of my timing, so I don't do it too fast.
Yeah, I kind of try to do what Vortex said in chat. I wait for the second one on the right side to hit its second size, and that's kind of, you know, a good timing to start firing your first arrow, and then you just gotta make up some way to buffer long enough in between them popping out to not waste an arrow.
Yeah, so the one on the right now, as you could probably see what they're saying, like it's at its second size, and it's getting ready to pop out on the left. See, there's our boy. He is coming to get me. That's probably a good way to do it too. So the wiggles are away on the left. The timing's always the same. Let us venture with more equipment. Let's just give ourselves everything really fast while we're in here. I do want to do some hammer. That seems to be a trend. Let's start with Fire Rod here. So Fire Rod does Gold Sword damage. I use with my sword out here, and the reason I hold my sword out is so I can strafe. If I don't have a sword, I'm doing the same thing holding B. I want to be able to strafe and keep not having to worry about like pressing right or left and then switching quickly to the down button. That's always a bad time. So basically what you're going to want to do is wait for the same cue. When the guy comes out, you just kind of have to think about where he's moving to, because if he goes left or right very quickly, you may need to adjust yourself with him to land that second Fire Rod shot here. And see, that one came up, so I was not able to keep the strafing going, but still pretty quick, and that would be totally acceptable in a randomizer run fight for Lanmo. I didn't save my equipment. Herf, you're supposed to keep me in line.
I'm just here laughing at you, enjoying this. Now you're going to turn it all back on again.
I do, and now I got to make sure I actually do a save state.
I do have something useful to say, though. But
go for it.
You were talking about earlier about not missing your arrow shots, and the kind of same is true for your fire rod shots, obviously. It sounds like a very obvious thing, and when you're watching this, you never really notice it, but it's a very noticeable thing, especially with arrows when you're playing the game. If you miss an arrow shot, you're not able to fire another arrow shot until your first arrow shot like hits a wall or disappears in some form or fashion or hits something. And it can really start messing up your timing, because you start spamming your button, as Daaanty is doing here, and then you try to adjust yourself and start firing another arrow. It doesn't work. You start spamming again. It fires an arrow as soon as it can. It kind of just, goes wherever it wants, but definitely not near the boss. and it just starts becoming a huge mess. With the Fire Rod, it's a little bit more lenient, but you're running out of magic real quickly if you start spamming your shots a lot.
Yeah, Herf's absolutely right, and that is a really good point, just because there are things you... Now, the Ice Rod you can fire twice, I think. Not so much with the Fire Rod, but Ice Rod we'll get to in just a sec. But yeah, like the arrows, as we were seeing, like you see Link's just kind of pulling the bow out and nothing's happening. That's not a good time. That happens with the regular bow as well, not just the silver bows. So let us do the Ice Rod strat. So this is a little different, and the reason I say it's different, the Ice Rod comes out slower, so you have to shoot it sooner. That is much easier said than done in practice. So I'm probably going to miss this here myself, but we'll give it a go. And that worked out kind of nice. Anytime you're using the Ice Rod as a weapon, if your enemy is moving, then you do run into the issue of how quickly it's coming at you, or rather how quickly the rod's shooting. Because if I shoot Fire Rod left or right here, this is a pretty big room, you can see how quickly the Fire Rod travels at a super consistent speed, and we've talked about that on the podcast before. This Ice Rod, I'm going to fire it, and it's going to start out kind of slow. I don't know the exact pixels per frame. I'm sure somebody in chat's going to know that kind of data. But you'll see it started out really slow, and then it sped up to a max speed. And you just have to accommodate that. Hammer. Let's talk about this. This is literally Tempered Sword. There is really no good way to do this except hit him. Obviously, hammering left, right, or down, I think that's been covered at least a little bit during Boots Camp. That is a bigger hitbox slightly than hammering up. So my advice to this would be always try to hit them left, down, or right. Also be mindful of Lanmolas projectiles when they pop out. They pop out in a kind of a diagonals pattern, so up left, down right, until there's only one left, and then they double, which we'll get to that in just a second. So you see here I'm a little offset, and I'm offset just because this is sort of a safe zone for whether he's shooting out 4 pieces of rock or all 8. So we're going to kind of just go through here with hammer, and obviously there's knockback, but you're going to need 4 hammer hits per Lanmo this way. And I'm trying to get it where we get an 8, so let's let this guy come on out again. That was a 4 because the other one was still exploding, so let's look at the 8. There's all 8 of them, and you can kind of see that pattern, but they're going to travel in a straight line, the way they shoot out. I don't really have a way of drawing on the screen for you guys. But it's just basically like a star pattern. We can advance it kind of frame by frame, and you see how they're just spreading in a straight line. But back to what I was saying, if you get in that little top corner to the, like, a little bit here, you're usually safe to not be hit. You knew that, didn't you, Herf?
Of course. Safe corner.
So yeah, that is another way. Let's look at everyone's favorite, the red cane. If you get in a situation where you're on like fighter sword like this, you can always place a block down. It is going to lag some, but if they jump into it, it's gonna do some damage. The beams will also do some damage. I forget the damage table off of this one. Herf, do you have that handy by chance?
I do not, but I can look it up. Unless someone in chat happens to know offhand.
You can even throw your block around at these guys. Oh, it's same as fighter sword. All right, good to know. It's not great, but it is something. This is kind of these kind of scenarios I'm about to show you are what we would call last resort. But yeah, that's kind of an idea of what you could do with that. King of Burna. Let's actually... there is a way to turn on enemy health. I haven't done that in a minute.
It was in the menu you were just in. I think
okay.
that had extras. It's
Right,
down there.
enemy HP. Yeah. All right, cool. So there'll be a little blue heart under the keys here. And of course it's not going down with these guys. It's great. But you could use this to inflict some damage. It's a decent way to get some hits in. But of course, it does run out after a while. So again, it also will protect you if you're low percent. I would advise more so using that as like your invincibility. While we're in this predicament, this is a good combination. So there's always the meme of, oh, bomb Lanmos can be required if, and that's kind of been a thing in the past, but it's super rare. One way to time this, as the tail of the Lanmo you are trying to fight or hit with a bomb goes into the ground, you can drop and pick up a bomb. So I'm trying to hit that one that landed on the left, and at least I got one hit in. Sometimes you can get two. But that is your timing cue. Let's kind of go through that. We've got 30 bombs. So I'm going to go through this kind of quick. And then we'll get into...
do remember here that in the current version of the randomizer, you start out with a max of 10 bombs. So unless you manually upgraded them at the Hylia Ferry to carry more of them, you'll only ever have 10 available to you.
See, I mistimed that one because I lost the guy I was attacking. With 3, this is obviously really hard to do. I totally miscounted. And see, you're going to end up getting yourself killed doing this too. You almost got a triple hit there. Alright, so we got one down. But obviously this is not fast. But it is a way if you are in a predicament where maybe you ran out of magic and you need something to bail you out. As soon as that tail disappears, you can drop one. And you can at least get a hit in. Just make sure you don't... I let this go way too long. You just don't want to, like, kill yourself with a bomb. That's never the way to go. Alright, we did it.
Nice. He immediately killed them there on the last one, but on the last one, if you're killing them with bombs, you also got to watch out for the 8-way shot he does when he pops out. So that makes it, adds an extra little bit of difficulty, I guess.
It does. I'm not going to go through Master Sword because with Master Sword, it's kind of the same thing as Fighter. It's going to do the same damage unless you spin, and then we're in Tempered Sword mode. So we've got Tempered now. Let me get this guy to take off a heart. So obviously what you kind of want to do is start with a spin, because that already is 2 of your 4 hits. And obviously I kind of spammed there and I didn't get hit, but I was trying to show a way that if you spam a lot, sometimes you're going to be stuck, because you're going to notice Link never can move while slashing his sword. Like, I'm holding right. So you never want to get into a panic state of, I'm attacking just so I don't die. Let's also run through the gold sword. This is super easy. It doesn't matter if you spin or if you do regular hits. I'm actually going to take damage, so we don't do beam shots, but it's just 2 hits with this. And of course we got a short hop, so nothing good came of that. All right, that's Landmo. Even the bomb version. Hurf, are there any big scenarios you think I'm leaving out here that maybe you guys want to see? Did we lose Hurf? Did we lose my internet?
I'm here. I'm good.
Okay.
I think you covered it pretty thoroughly. I mean, pretty much everything that you could be in a situation for, and even some things you most likely won't be in a situation for.
Yeah, like the bomb one we won't. So let's talk about our favorite friend Moldorm. Let's just do kind of the NMG strat here. And when I say the strat, I mean you just gotta. It doesn't matter if you spin or slash. It is, what is it, 6? I just keep doing it until I see him go fast. So you just want to dodge him, and it's kind of not predictable. And I did a strat there where you fall, and it's bad. But
that's my favorite strat.
That's everyone's favorite. I did a thing where if your sword is out, I kind of want to go through this. So once safety, if you've got a sword, if your sword is facing away from the wall or the ledge, you have your back to. So for instance, let's get like right here. This is the wall I've got my back to clearly. And I've got my sword out like directly opposite. Not like this. Of course he bopped me off while I was like trying to do a demonstration. This is like the hardest boss to like show examples of. But if he's coming at you, if you are holding away from the wall with that sword out, he can't knock you off. If you get hit like that, then you can get knocked off. That's what's important here. So that's why you see a lot of runners kind of not so much put their back against the wall, but if there's a wall that they're going to go against, they've got their sword out the opposite way. And you see, like, I should have fell there. I did not. Sword was out the wrong way. I fell. All right, enough fooling around. Let's actually do this.
I believe in you.
Yeah, tail follows the head, which Blackwax is saying in chat is the best way to do it, or the best way to describe it. Another strat you'll see people do is charge up the sword and then dash into it, which is very solid to do. If you do this, you want to make sure you are doing it left to right and not up and down. That is bad, because a lot of times you see I went right through his head there. You can get really lucky, and I did it left to right there and still got hit, so it's not a guaranteed thing. But there are times where I've tried it up and down. It's not as consistent. So yeah, that is Moldorm. The idea is if the only time you should enrage him is if you're on this babby sword that no one really even likes. Yeah. Let's upgrade our equipment. And I'm actually going to make a save state up here so I can teach more efficiently. All right, so tempered, master. Spins are tempered. You need, what is it, 3? But you actually got to hit the tail. And the idea is kind of look at his movement, see where he's going. Don't be too offensive. If you're on the offense the whole time, you're really going to have a bad day. We'll kind of show this a couple more times. Like, I'm not going to go for a hit there. I'm just going to try to stay alive, because he was kind of coming at me kind of quick. I think this has been said by some of the other tutors. Don't do something just because you think it's fast if you're going to die doing it. It's a situation where if you take an extra second, yeah, that was a second slower, but if it prevented a death or a fall, you save time. Oh yeah, that is another good one there. Let's actually do that, because I don't use that one that often myself, but it's definitely worth noting. If you have a hook shot, you're gonna actually, if he comes at your face here, which is what I'm working at, come on Moldorm. You have iframes with the hook out. So now be mindful that if you do it downward here, it's going to clink, and you don't want that. That gives you less time. But you'll see a lot of people do this method. And just kind of, you just let go of the buttons, and when the hook comes back, hopefully his tail's still within range of your spin. It's a very safe strat to do. There's like hardly any punishment with that. Let's talk about the tempered sword. This is what everyone's comfy with. Look how nice that was. Let's talk about it. Tempered does gold sword damage. Are you guys noticing the trend here? Like when you do a spin, I mean, it does gold sword damage. So you need one spin and one slash. Now, a lot of times you're gonna end up doing the spin anyway, like the double spin, and there's no problem with that. What you want to avoid is pokes. So let's talk about poking. Poking's gonna do a step down. So if I'm here and I just poked him there, that technically did Master Sword damage. So if I spin, he's in enraged phase. And now my fight just got a lot harder. And you can poke him again. Hurf, you ever poke Moldorm?
A lot of times, unfortunately. With all kinds of swords, really.
Oh man, look at that.
That is also something I do a lot.
So what do we do if we poke him? So I got a slash in there. Let's get a poke. All right, so we're not enraged yet. So we can fix this by poking him again. All right, well, that's fixed. Another slash is going to finish him up. It's kind of just a situation of knowing your damage tables. But yeah, like if you poke with Fighter Sword, it is not reduced damage. If you poke with Master Sword, it is not reduced damage because they are doing the same amount of damage no matter what, whether as far as like slashes go. So you don't have to worry about that too much. Gold Sword, much easier here to talk about. It's just 2 slashes. You can do the spins if you like, but Gold Sword's kind of OP on bosses. That's why the game expects you to have it when you get to Moldorm 2. And yes, as Ken has pointed out, it is hammer time. Everyone's favorite time. So the idea with hammer, same as the other bosses, you have a bigger hitbox left, down, and right. Make sure you are trying to do that. We're on the same damage table as tempered, so we're going to need 4 hammer hits. So we already got 1 in. I'm going to kind of get out of the way here. All right, he kind of gave me a free one. There's number 2. I'm going to try to get one from above. Oh, it's 3. I'm dumb. It's not.
I mean, you know, one up or down.
It's hard. And you'll notice if you use a map tracker, this place doesn't turn green until you have either a sword or a hammer because, you know, and of course the other logical things. But you can't kill this guy with anything except swords and hammers. I'm gonna actually talk about Aga for really, like, just super briefly. And this is something Ari talked about in our podcast episode. So obviously the first, there's like a bunch of phases here with the blue balls and, you know, the memes. But the first one out of every lightning cycle is going to obviously be a free hit. These other ones, he's made mention that if you can, you want to try and knock him back to the center of the room if possible. All right, we got a blue ball there, so we couldn't knock him to the center. And you say, why are we knocking him to the center? He's going to warp around, and chances are he may switch sides. So now we're finally at a lightning phase. Number 5. So this, just kind of get out of the way. So the next one is guaranteed going to be a reflectable one. And like I said, I'm going to try and get him to the center as best I can. So I might be able to reduce the amount of time he's teleporting. It's a really small time save, and it's not guaranteed to always be a time save. It's just something once you get, I guess when you actually get, you know, more comfortable with the fight, it's something you can kind of think about. And see, there's no way for me to get a shot that way, so we're just going to knock him against the wall. Yeah, this Aga pattern is pretty awful, but I'm going to try to get a shot. And see, I took some damage. Aga balls don't do a whole lot of damage, but if you're super low health, you definitely want to play it safe. This was not a really good pattern to show this with, sadly. Let's see if we can get a better one. One more time. And see, I got him dead center there, and he came back, so it actually did not save me time. But you just have no clue where he's going, so that's kind of why it's like a good habit. Yeah, Zethno in chat is absolutely correct. If you are at a perfect horizontal alignment, if you get hit with the blue, or the blue balls come out, you're not going to get hit by them. Like, perfectly horizontal. If you're off by a little bit, you can still be hit. We'll get a blue ball here, hopefully. And we can kind of demonstrate that. See, if I'd have hit him center there, we'd have been perfect. I want a blue ball, dude.
The one time you actually want one.
All right, so here comes a blue ball. All right, so I've done the spin, and you see how it's going out like in that star pattern, except there's 6 instead of 8. And I may not be perfectly aligned. I might actually get hit here. No, I didn't. So, again, staying horizontal, you don't have to worry about that. That's Aga. Very, very predictable. Let's go talk about Helmasaur. Alright, so Helmasaur's got a mask. I hope you guys have at least played the game and know how to kill him, but let's talk about how to efficiently kill him. There are 17 hits you need to hit on this mask to break it. The first one is going to put a crack in it. And that's kind of, I guess, their way of signifying there's some damage. But that was 2 hits I did. The first one causes a break. If you lose count, keep going. I've lost count. The mask broke again. That's number 9. When the second ship happens, that's at number 9. So I need 8 more hits. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so this is a perfect example of what I want to show you guys. If you can time this where your last hit is when a fireball is coming out of his mouth or like spawned out onto the boss room floor, when the mask breaks, it overloads the sprites and the fireballs are going to disappear. So let me get my alignment right. All right, so you can see there the mask exploded and my fireballs are gone. So now I don't have to worry about those things. That's one thing to keep in mind. That's why you see a lot of times runners will pause, like they'll get 16 hits in and they'll stop for a second. And while they're stopped, they kind of want to see if the tail's coming or if a fireball's coming. So now you've got a couple of scenarios here. Let's do obviously the easiest one with the silver arrows. So if you're here, 1 silver arrow is going to kill this guy. Easy peasy. That's the way you like it, Hurf. Right?
The silvers are definitely my favorite. I mean, they pretty much kill anything in 1 arrow, as long as you can hurt them with a bow, right?
Exactly. Except for the pokies. They do, for some reason, a whole lot more. Let's talk about spin speed strats. So, I think P-Train talked about spin speed in his movement and tech. As you can see, I'm pressing B rapidly, and I have no sword happening. Let's also talk about Helma's fireball patterns while I'm in the spin speed state. The tail's obviously going to come around from the left or the right. If I can get him to shoot a fireball, that would be fantastic. Of course, not cooperating. Come on, boy. Come on, boy. Oh my god, dude, this guy sucks.
Nothing's happening today.
All right, so
oh, there we go.
All right, one of them's off screen. So they come out in like a triangular pattern. These balls are going to, it's random which one explodes first, whether it be top, right, or left. The thing to keep in mind is once the first one explodes, they are going to explode in a clockwise pattern. While they're exploding, they also follow the same rules as kind of Lanmo does when it's spawning, where the explosions shoot out in diagonals. So again, up left, up right, down left, down right. So we're going to kind of see this here and just kind of know where they're going to be at, where you need to be. So that top one exploded first, and you see the pattern it's doing with that square. I'm perfectly safe where I am, and that's kind of why I put myself here to show you when this right one explodes, I'm still going to be safe. I don't even have to move. So the being lined up on the horizontal, think of it like as like a T if you're connecting, and I'm using my hands to talk, and I know you guys can totally see my hands. But if you look at that triangle pattern, if you connect from the top one down and then make a T pattern, like an upside down T, horizontally across the bottom ones, if you stand on that point or roughly on that point, you're guaranteed to be safe from the fireballs. There is the chance where, if the mask is off, he can do the tail and the fireballs at the same time in his enraged phase. And then you're kind of screwed there because it's kind of a good luck. You've got to dodge everything. So let's get his mask off and we'll finish this whole spin speed talk that I started. And you see, I did that thing early, and now I'm getting absolutely badgered. We talked about the hammer hitbox kind of sucking, going upwards, but in this spin speed state, it is extended. So if you kind of get, like, this is kind of my cue, is like, Link's head has barely disappeared on the right side of his face. I know that's super specific. It's kind of like the Armos setup, where you kind of have to get used to the idea of where you want to be. But that is only in the spin speed state. Like, if you tried that without boots, that's not going to work. That's a bad time waiting to happen. Let's actually reload that, and we will get the mask off, and we'll talk about a couple other ways to kill the guy. I'll make a save state with the mask about to break. Let's not die. What is the save state button? That's it. All right, so I've got Master Sword right now. Yeah, I agree with what Zelga said there. It is terrible. And it was removed. Thank God. So, Master Sword is going to it's going to take 8 hits here. Now, you can charge up if you feel confident in using that amount of time, and do 4 like you would with Tempered. Fighter Sword is not going to damage this guy. Not at all. If you do this with Fighter Sword, you are going to have to spin, and it's 8. So keep that in mind. Same, it would require like Master Sword slashes. If you're on Fighter Sword, I would advise to manage your arrows, and then it requires 8 of these. And if you stay close to him, I ran out. See, that's a bad day. Let's increase our arrows. Herp, you ever ran out of arrows on this guy?
I have. And unfortunately, in a Rando run, you can't just go into the menu and increase them again.
That's so true. All right, so there's 8 hits. The way to kind of think about this... all right, so I gave myself another save state here. Yeah, I would say that's true. Bow is valid beyond hammer. If you shoot at him from far away, it takes obviously longer for the arrow to travel. You know, duh. If you miss, you see where the same logic from Lanmo earlier applies, where you can't just keep firing the thing. Because you can only have 1 on the screen. Did I seriously make a save state as I died? That's kind of cool. Let's watch that one more time. Good. Look at this. Look at this. I guess I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. That was really good. Let's try that one more time. All right, we'll reload the. I swear I didn't think I hit the right button to do that.
I used to always be so scared as a kid of the Zelda 2 game over screen with the Ganon laugh. And you see like his shadowy figure, and it's like Ganon
Right.
returns. You are a failure. Really, really scarred me as a little kid.
It's tough being called a failure.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of motivated me. I never wanted to get a game over in that game. I think that's the only reason why I ever finished it.
That game's hard. We don't play that game here. That game's not for us. So another way to do this would be strafing, the same thing except pointed upward. Dude, I died again. There's not many times you just straight up do you just do Helmasaur slowly. Like you just do. Oh my god. I honestly didn't mean to load that save state.
It's all falling apart. Oh no. Send help.
This is a teaching show. Let's talk about bombs real quick. Like, there's no reason. I'll talk about this now. Listen, everyone in the mentor tournament, you are not playing Enemizer, okay? So there's zero chance you're going to need only bombs to get this mask off. But we're going to talk about it. It takes 5 of these boys. You want to make sure that the bomb explodes on him. Now, when I was a kid, I thought this was the only way to get the stupid thing's mask off. I missed one, apparently. All right, the mask is off. Let's make a save state. What equipment was I about to use? Let's just use tempered here. It's 4 slashes. Super quick. Gold sword is 2. Kind of run through this really fast. 1, 2. Very simple. That's kind of the extent of that fight, I think. Yeah, Espeon's probably right. I did get the -1 altitude on the first bomb. But yeah, that's Helmasaur. If there are questions, please feel free to throw them in chat. I'm trying to keep up with chat the best I can. But we can always come back to it. Let us get ready to talk to our boy Arrghus. We're going in dungeon order, not in NMG order. We did talk about silvers. It's just one shot. One shot to the jewel. I would not, so let's go back to that. I would not try to hold out and finish with hammer. Because you see, like, it extends it, but not by much. And I'm kind of bouncing off of them. I'm not having a good time. If I don't have boots, I kind of just either use the arrows, or I'm going to use my sword here, if I have Master Sword. And we'll go through this one last time. With the thing off, I'm going to shoot the jewel with arrows. It requires 8. Of course, I'm not managing my equipment. If you kind of wait for him to get still, you can just unload and be good to go. Slightly on the left side. Okay, well, since we're talking about it. Yeah, so that's the way to do it. That's why I was screwing it up. But yeah, it's not the easiest strat. If you are on green mail, Helma hits like a truck. So you see I've got 5 hearts. I got hit. That's 2. You know, a couple of hits here, I'm dead. So just be mindful. Arrghus. This guy's cute. It's probably the best way to put that. So I'm going to start with this on Fighter Sword. How do I want to go about this? Let us make a save. So one thing you're going to notice with Fighter, I can't hurt these puffs. Oh no, whatever will I do? Well, spinning works, but it requires 2. A little slower method is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm pulling 1 and spinning. let's talk about the directions you want to do this from. You want to do it from the up, left, or right. So you facing down, you facing left, or you facing right. If you're facing upward, it actually pulls the puff into you. Sometimes you can get lucky like that and it doesn't hurt you. There are other times where, if you, I guess this if you're not spinning, but if you pull it down into you from the top downward, it's going to get like where it hurts you. So I took a hit there. That's kind of what I was getting at. Another strat is once you've pulled one here, like we've done, I'm going to keep holding B and I'm going to kind of pull down, and I'm going to try to do this with pause buffers so you can see it. So I'm moving down in very slow motion. And we're going to try to grab a second puff here. And of course I didn't do it quick enough. So the idea here is you want to move in a way where your sword is not going to accidentally poke the puff. And you can get two at one time. Of course, I didn't get one there. If you get one, totally acceptable. When it gets to the end like this, you're going to probably not want to go for two as often. And that's the end of phase one. So let's redo this, but let's do it with Master Sword. Now, I'm not going to get into the super advanced strats here, but again, you can get it slash twice, get one, slash twice. Hello, I missed. This is kind of slow. I would advise practicing some other methods. Again, we can do the charged up, grab two, and it's a spin. The good news is if you botch it like I just did there, you can still get slashes in and not waste too much time. So again, that was phase one with that. If you come in here swordless, God forbid, you're not going to be swordless. We're playing open assured, right? Yeah. But we'll show this. You can hammer these things. It's slow. It's called the menu boss for a reason. It's not that fun. So don't sweat that too much, but let's get Tempered Sword. One slash. This is why they wait as long as they do in the NMG run to come here. You can do one slash. Takes him out. No big deal. You cannot use Fire Rod on the eyes. You can use bombs, though, which is really stupid, but you can. I would never advise it.
Yeah, I would also definitely advise against that. I also want to say that I consistently have issues getting the first phase of this done efficiently, no matter the equipment. I mean, unless I'm a Tempered Sword or higher, where it just kind of works out automatically. But I don't know, these puffs, man. Either I only grab one, or I grab two, and the first one's too far away, so it's out of spin range. It's all kind of messy. It looks a lot easier than it is, so it probably can't hurt to put, a couple of minutes of practice into this and do it a couple of times so you get used to the feeling.
Oh my god, today I learned. You can use the... Why, you wouldn't do this, but I guess you can. Interesting. I can't believe I was today years old. So
yeah, I guess I don't think I knew this either. I don't think you're ever in a situation where you wanna shoot these with a rod.
Yeah, you're not, honestly.
At least I haven't been. That doesn't mean it never happened, but...
And see, now that you guys are watching me, I'm having trouble doing this. This is a strat that is really advanced and hard to do until you've really learned the timing. And see, we got what we call the fake 0 cycle there. We have to still wait for the 1 spin. So what's going to happen is, let's see. I'm going to item dash. I really wish I had this in like slow-mo. Did I just like hard lock the game? Okay. So I've item dashed here, and I'm in spin speed state. I'm holding B, but I've tapped A and Y at the same time. So what's going to happen is this puff's going to come to me, and as it's coming, I'm going to keep holding B, and I'm going to move to the left. Now, I've already screwed it up because the sword is no longer out. But you would item dash again, and it would basically, you have to just get a feel for this timing.
Yeah, this is a strat I definitely can do. I've tried a couple of times, but I just never bothered to put the time in to actually learn.
This is something that maybe a mentor can teach you in a one-on-one session. You do kind of have to move back and forth in some cases, Greg Corvid. You don't always have to. Excuse me. It's just something that you can do it to kind of see. A lot of times you may need to move backwards as well. Of course, I'm on the wrong sword. Let's alleviate that issue. Now, this also works with gold. And see, I already botched it because I'm facing to the left. You'll see a lot of runners not even bother with this because it like when you get off like I am right now, it messes you up quite a bit. Now, take a look at Link right now. I can't swing my sword because of the item dash I've done. He's bobbing up and down in this shallow water so fast. He looks crazy. But this is because I'm in spin speed. So you have to tap A to get out of spin speed. Or spin speed state, I guess I should call it. So, anyway. It's temperamental, exactly. I'm so glad we got that. Let's talk about gold just really quick. With this, it's a little more simple. You don't even have to do the item dash because you can poke. It's still not that great. Again, 1 slash, they're done. Super fast. I want to downgrade my sword to tempered here. Ideally, this is what we call the quick kill. So I'm going to get about right here, and there's a reason I'm at this point. I'm going to move to the right, and it's going to... Arrghus in his first drop down always goes like down and right. So he jumped on me. Here we come. Once he gets underneath me, I'm going to fire 2 fire rod shots. I'm going to move downward slightly as I'm doing them, and then I'm going to let go of the spin. So you're going to get 1, 2, spin, and he dies. That's what you see a lot of people talk about, the quick kill. I'm going to make a state right after this. That way we don't have to keep talking about phase 1. All right, so we got a state made. If you have silvers, you can kill him this way. Where's my silvers? There we go. Again, standing here, gonna move down and right. Or I'm sorry, yeah, right and then down. Another way to do it would be to, you'll see me do this a lot when I'm playing. I'll kind of have my sword out as a buffer. So I can just kind of move and fire it. The downside of doing that, you have to get a little further away because if you poke him, it'll override the silver arrow hit. Let's see. Trying to think. Ice Rod also works. Spin to win is also a strat here. If you're out of magic, just let him drop down, move, spin, wait for it again, move, spin again. Pretty quick. the number of spins varies sword to sword. Any other questions about Arrghus or anything, Herf, you want to add about our boy Arrghus here?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty thoroughly. I mean, as you said, the spins depend on what kind of sword you have. You can substitute the ice rod for the fire rod, just take the acceleration of the projectile into account. It doesn't matter if you don't get the quick kill that Daaanty showed first. 2 spins with a tempered, as we showed right after, is almost as fast and definitely good enough for our purposes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Moth, everyone's favorite enemy. One word to the wise here. Make sure you don't get grabbed by the Wallmaster as you fall in the hole. It's called getting 1.0'd, and it'll take you back to the beginning of the dungeon. It's a bad day. All right, so I'm going to get... Oh, yeah, don't ever spin with the Tempered Sword like I was about to just do. That's bad. It does Gold Sword damage. So the Gold Sword does 0 damage to the Moth because it's in the same class as the Spikes. The randomizer has been patched where if you just slash it, it does Tempered Sword damage on this guy, which is good. But what I'm doing is just kind of slashing away. Very, very simple way to do this fight. You can kind of do some really quick strats here that I'm not that great at, where you can get some pokes in. Now, if I start like mashing him up here against these spikes, and he died anyway. The spikes will eat your input basically, where you're not going to kill him. Or not damage him, I guess is probably the best way to put it. It's 4 Tempered Sword slashes to kill this guy. With the Fire Rod, it does Master Sword damage. So it takes 8 of those. You can kind of use any combo you want. Same thing here. I'm going to actually get this spin speed state if I can. And I'm going to hammer this guy. Done and done. I already got a couple of hits in, so keep that in mind. It's still Tempered Sword damage. Requires 4 of them. Fighter Sword will damage this guy, but you're going to hate your life while you do it. Let's see if we can do one of these really quick, just to kind of have one on file. One thing with this fight, when you're in a tough situation, make sure you aren't too offensive with this guy. It is best to avoid spikes and not take damage versus trying to, in a panic state, go for a hit. Once you do that, you're going to end up getting hit by something. You just lose sight on all the other projectiles in the room. And you see we've got several hits in. We've basically done half the damage. Now, you can try to do spins with the Fighter Sword, but keep in mind, while you're in that state, you're actually moving slower, so you're more susceptible to damage from things. See, I got a little offensive there, and it got a little out of control for a moment. And now I'm going to end up dying because we're just fully out of control. Now, to be back here, you're going to have Fire Rod. So keep that in mind. Also, there's no shame. Yo, he just charged me. I forgot that was a thing. So he just comes at you. If you, you know, if you take too long like I did.
Good old Mothula. I think a good tactic here generally is, as you said, you'll have Fire Rod. You'll probably have used some of your magic to get in here, but using the rest of your magic for Fire Rod shots, not to necessarily do damage, but to get them off the spikes. Mothula likes to hug the top spikes a lot, eating all the damage that you're supposed to do to her. But if you manage to get a good Fire Rod shot in when she's at the top there, she sometimes gets knocked off the spikes, and you can damage her again, either with another Fire Rod shot or maybe some sword damage. So I think that's, just a general good idea kind of thing to keep in mind.
Hopefully you guys don't have a situation where this happens that often, but Just be mindful that it totally can happen. Got 2 hits left on the guy. Or 1 spin if I can get it. Here we go. Yeah, it is part of the vanilla game, but I think it also... but it is also something that can happen, so just be mindful. Don't ever get into a panic state. That is my advice that I give everybody about Moth. If you get in one, you're not going to have fun. Like, you're going to end up making more mistakes and just tanking or just absorbing damage like crazy.
Yeah, as Espion was saying in chat, getting above Moth usually just results in you getting squished on the spikes and Mothula herself. So all that's going to do is a lot of damage to yourself and probably not too much to Mothula.
And as you just kind of saw there, I was doing damage with the blue cane. It works, but keep in mind it does fighter sword damage. And also it forces Moth up. So I didn't get any, I think I got 1 hit in out of all of those because she was forced way up against the spikes. So it was overriding it. This has been seen before. It's not advisable because you should have a sword, but you can fight Moth with one of these. Again, not the most ideal strat, but you know, in a pinch, sometimes you just have to do stupid stuff. But yeah, that's basically it for Moth. Again, my whole spiel with Moth. You don't want to go super slow, but don't be on the offensive. It's just one of those things where it is going to mess you up more than help you. Yeah, and Ball Cinemizer Nep is absolutely correct there. But considering we are... I'm kind of focusing here, at least with what I'm showing these guys, the open assured, mostly. I think that is going to be all for that one. Let's move on to Thieves Town. Everyone's favorite. All right. So let's talk about this scripted fight. Wait. Oh, that was interesting. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do here, she's going to talk to me. You can see where my sword is positioned here. I'm straight in on this door. You kind of want your sword to be in her head. I try to line it up where it's inside that little dip in her head, or at least her hair. Maybe not her head. But... So what we're going to do here is get a poke, and I think it's another poke. It might be a slash. I can never just talk through this. I have to just do it. It's 3 pokes. All right, so we got 3 pokes. If I did this correct, I think Blind's going to go off to the right, and I didn't do it right. So let's redo it. All right, so Blind went off to the right. There's the 3 pokes. I'm going to get my sword positioned to the left here. There are a couple of scenarios or different strategies to do this. What I like to do is walk up to the top wall. So Blind is going to shoot these fireballs in a specific pattern, and every 4, I believe, the next one targets you. So what I'm going to do is kind of get here where I'm out of the way, and I'm doing this with pause buffers just so you guys can kind of see it. Now this one's coming right at me. So at this point, I'm going to keep my sword out, and I'm going to move down, which is going to allow me to get a poke in. After this poke, I'm going to slash down. All right, now I've already messed this up because I got a spin there, which is what you don't want to do. But I've slashed down, and now I'm going to slash down or at Blind again. Let's kind of do that fast time now, or real time. It's easier to do this fight scripted in real time. All right, so there's the thing. I'm up against the wall, gonna come down. All right, I got my pokes again. So now we're in phase 3. So now I'm just going to kind of worry about slashing 3 more times. This is something you need to practice on your own a lot and work with a mentor on, I think. You can watch as many tutorials on it, but if you don't kind of get the hand muscle memory down for you and your controller, it's going to be a lot tougher. Herp, you know this? Do you know this script?
I know the script. I don't really know how to do it very well.
What was it that Axial used to say? Get 2 and it was okay? Like the first 2 or something?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you can get like half the fight to like 2/3 of the fight done with the script, and the rest is just, wildly slashing. I don't know, Blind is one of those fights for me where over the course of my Rando career, he used to be one of the bosses I was most scared of. And now, if you walk in with some confidence, even if you don't know the script, it's usually not a big deal. You kind of get a feel for where the fireballs are going to go. You kind of get a feel for where the heads are going to, float around and how you have to move. And then just getting your hits in is not usually a huge deal. It's a lot more intimidating than it actually is on a fight. Just walk in there with some confidence and tell Blind you're going to beat him up and you're good to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you see with phase 3 here, it's 3 slashes once you get him into this position. So we're going to slash right, down. I did get the hit, and then 1 more. So if you take a hit, unless you're in 1 heart mode, you should be fine. There's a Canis Samaria script. I don't know that one. I'm not even going to pretend like I do. I will show you guys a real fun trick that you can do if I were to activate Samaria. You can item dash with this and just punt the thing up there at him.
You can also, if you have Burna while we're on the canes, if you have Burna, you can damage them as well as keep yourself safe from anything that might be flying at you. But just keep your magic in mind as always.
So yeah, if you get the first 2 and you're like, man, I got 1 heart, I don't want to risk this, just kind of walk with him with the cane. If you do die on this fight, there is no script for coming back in where he's up against the wall here versus being in the middle. It also doesn't matter if you are on fighter. Doesn't matter if you fighter sword, master, tempered, gold, cane of Burna, cane of Samaria, hammer. It's 9 hits. 3, 3, and 3. I think that's going to kind of cover that one for us.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, if you happen to die, it's one of the more painful boss deaths, I feel like, because you're missing out on the 2 free hits that you definitely get in the beginning. Just, no matter how good or bad you are at the game, those are 2 hits you're definitely going to get if you can just hold your sword out.
Right. I don't believe, so Grey Corvette asking in chat, is there a hammer script? I don't think there's an actual hammer script. You can kind of predict phases 1 and 2 with hammer, but I've never actually found an exact script. I'm sure there is a way to do it. Honestly, I don't think anyone's ever put the work in to try to find that. Let me give myself a few more items here. I'm going to give myself Bombos. And we're on Tempered Sword here. Silvers aren't going to do anything for us with this fight. So, one thing I really like about this, Ari talked about this on the podcast. So I did 3 sword slashes there. And you do that to keep Kholdstare's falling projectiles on the same script as if you were shooting the 8 fire rod shots. And I've seen a lot of people in Twitch chat question this before. So when I'll do this from the right here, and there's a reason. So I'm going to get that spin, and now I'm going to utilize my fire rod. If you shoot the puffs near the bottom of their existence, I guess, you see where that kind of little V looking thing is at the bottom of the puff? If you try and aim for that, there's a really good chance from shooting from the right to the left, you're going to get multiple hits. So that was pretty quick. The puff crack, yes. So again, 3 swings. 1, 2, 3. This way I know my puffs are going to be at a decent time for this. I totally mistimed that. And then all of a sudden the fight's in chaos. What do? Well, you just do your best to recover. Let's talk about that now since it happened. If I stand up here at the top, if you're really big scared, the puffs, if they're at the very top when they fall down from the sky, the icicles, they will despawn. And you can use this strat to kind of make the Kholdstare puffs come to you versus you going to them. Boy, he was coming fast. Now, as you saw there, I did take a hit from one. If you take, as it falls from the sky, if it hits you, it's not going to spread, but it still can hurt you. And then again, you could kind of go down here to finish this fight off. One thing to keep in mind when the puffs fall, or the icicles fall and explode, they are going to either expand up, down, left, right, or the diagonals. So again, I'm going to try this this 1, 2, 3 method, and then I'm going to try to get this left side strat. So yeah, you can utilize your fire rod that way, but it doesn't work quite the same way if you do it to the right. Let's talk about the NMG strats. What you're going to see a lot of people do. And I'm not going to show you like super pro NMG strats because I'm not going to pretend I am that good. So what I like to do is align Link kind of under this left chip of the ice. So I'm going to walk forward and shoot all 8 fire rod shots. And it allows you to kind of walk into the thing too. And you see I'm going to get hit here, which is fine. If you're up against the top while charging this spin, it will despawn that puff up there like we talked about. And so I'm going to kind of get where I can walk downward now to hit this puff. And then you'll see a lot of people just kind of do this. This is what like ends up, you're seeing most Kholdstare fights looking very similar to that. Now I'm going to try what people, you know, we just kind of did, but with a little extra pizzazz. I cannot do that to save my life. There's a poke, there's a poke strat there, right here. If you want to tell them about it, while I try it again.
I'm not really super familiar with it. What you do is kind of you dash poke into the puffs and try to keep them in the corner, and that kills them a little bit faster and keeps them more contained. But it's, as you can see, not the easiest thing to do.
Oh yeah, that's actually a really good strat there, Taz. Let's talk about that. Because that's something I can totally do. Let's say you're in here and, oh no, I don't have bombos, and oh no, I only have a little bit of fire. What do I do? All right. You see that? That actually counted as 2 hits. If you listen very carefully, you can hear that. So shoot a fire rod shot, swing your sword beam. Again, this is a timing thing. I advise practicing this. And see, I saved some fire rod shots. Again, you aim for the bottom V, the little crack there on our boy Kholdstare. It actually will cause some splash damage to hit the other ones. That's my advice. Aim for cold crack and then hope for the best.
Cold crack? That's even better.
Yeah, aim for the cold crack. And Zelga's got a good point there. Yeah, it is actually super good to do this from this duplication we're talking about here, from this height. I missed 2 of them there because I got overzealous. Yeah, you gotta crack open a cold one. Oh my god, we're off the rails. See, I'm going too fast. And it's more of a rhythmic thing more than it is a go as fast as you possibly can. Oh, look at that. We cracked open the cold one and got that left side strat. So, anyway, there's Kholdstare. Let's talk about Hammer really fast with Kholdstare. Is the the V Fire Red Splash? Yes. It should be. Espeon's right. It could be affected by it. Very much so. Alright, so we've lost control. Alright, so if you have to use Hammer, again, slow and methodical, don't go too bananas. You want to try to... See, I died. You want to make sure you're coming from the top, left, or right. Same thing as before. And see, it's really easy to take damage so quickly in this fight, so you want to be very careful. If you have fighter swords, you'll see a lot of people kind of extend their sword to extend that hammer hitbox. Please note this does not work in swordless, because you don't have a sword to extend, it's just your fist. Alright, so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about here. That's basically Kholdstare in a nutshell. Any final questions before I move on to the last two big boys of the game? Herf, you got anything you want to add to this fight?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. I mean, the fanciest thing I know here is the fire out duplication with the sword beams, and when are you ever falling into a Kholdstare fight with full health?
Yeah, let's try this. I haven't done this in a minute. There is a way to do it with arrows. It's kind of obnoxious to do. Yeah, see, I've hardly ever needed this. So I don't even know. I think you have to fire the arrow first, honestly. And it has to be from further down. Yeah, see, that counted twice if you saw that. But it's super niche. I doubt there's any time you're really going to need that. And yes, bow does have a very weird timing. Let's move on. Vitreus. Alright. This fight sucks, guys. Ow. I got hit before I even went in there. That's how bad this fight sucks.
More eyes.
I know, right? Let's do this with silvers super fast. You just want to shoot one in the middle, and then I'm going to kind of just move around here. Easy. And then, of course, it just takes two silvery boys. God, it's been so long since I've done this fight with silvers. It feels great.
Also, the only boss that takes two silvers. I mean, apart from Ganon and stuff, but you know.
Right. So yeah, that's Vitreus with silvers. Very quick fight. Let's try the NMG strats. I suck at this, so what you're gonna want to do is like sword down, hit the goo, and walk in. Do not hit the eyeballs. And see, we got a few left. You got multiple ways you can arrow them or you can spin them. And then it's 8 shots here. Let's talk about I'm a big fat baby and need to have some safety. Well, you can lure these guys out, and that is totally fine. When I played this game and first played Randomizer, I was a big fat baby. And there's no shame in that. You just... We talked about this at the beginning of this. It's much faster to take extra time and not die than it is to die. So this is not the fastest way to kill this guy, but it is a way to not die. Now, you see me up here, I'm losing 1 heart in the goo, and that's why we use that damage boost from the goo to do the rest of this. Dying is the big slow, that's right. Let's talk about one of my favorite strats. The Scrivo Safety Corner. I am not taking any damage over here. And you're saying, Daaanty, how are you dying and not taking any damage? You're in the zone over there. That's the damage zone, not auto zone. For some reason, this 1 pixel all the way up against the wall will allow you to not take damage. However, if I move off of it just a little bit, I begin to take damage. So you're going to want to be strafing, but you can use this to... I use this to shoot a ton of arrows. Just don't get hit like we almost did there. Now, by doing this, I have now run out of arrows. The best time to do this and only this is if you have purchased an arrow upgrade and have 35 arrows. And now I died.
Dude, there was a wombo combo. First he lightning you and then the little eyeball flew into you.
What is happening?
Oh, you broke it.
I'm just T-posing. There is a 10 bomb strat, so let's up our equipment. Let's look at our 10 bombs and 30 arrows. Alright, so bombs do splash damage. You want to kind of aim for like the in between the 4 eyes that don't really exist. They're just kind of there, you know? And the part of the background. Again, I'm using the corner. If you need to readjust, get out of the goo. I died. See, it's not safe. It's not safe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's safe about that?
I gotta get myself killed again. For some reason, if you're in this room, it just makes Link T-pose. I hate it. Oh, it's because I'm loading a state, yeah. Well, I die and load states a lot. I'm bad. This is one of the hardest fights in the game. Unless you have silvers, like, it's definitely one of the hardest things.
That's also how he made the #1 qualifier seed, by the way. It took me a while to get that through, but I had to get that one out there.
Yeah, that's exactly how we did it. I actually did use that in one of the qualifiers, by the way. This whole corner strat, like, I was like, not dying today, boys. Some things to keep in mind if you get in here. Fighter Sword does nothing against this guy except spins, and it's slow. It's real slow, and it's really deadly. Just keep that in mind. How many is it? I forget. Tempered 2, 3, 4, 5. I can count. It's 6. 6 slashes. I think it's 3 spins. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Let's get to phase 2 of this. Let's also make the beeping stop. Let's talk about our phase 2 options. Let's get to Master Sword. Again, you'd have to spin with Fighter Sword. It's a little tough. So if I don't have a bow, you can kind of pin this guy in the corner. But as you see, I'm kind of using some walk back buffers. You don't want to just spam like this. Sometimes it works, but it's not predictable. Sometimes he'll just jump right under you and kill you, and you're going to be so mad, tilted, and confused. Just don't let it happen. Nice and easy. This is a lot of hits. We're back on tempered. So again, same strat. You can use spins with this. The same thing's gonna apply to fighter sword here. I try to do figure 8 patterns if I have to spin, and I make him go up or down out of the way. You can get around this guy pretty simply. It's just a big spook when you're doing it. You do need patience. That's absolutely right. Nothing else besides bombs, arrows, and hammer. Hammer's another thing. You should have a sword when you get here since we're in open assured. Any other viddy questions before we get to Trinexx and kind of finish up here? It's about to be Herf's bedtime. Yeah, it is important to not constantly charge spins. That's where the patience part comes in. Sometimes you may need to just get away. All right, let's talk about the final boss for us in our segment. Let's talk about Trinexx. I saw him in chat earlier, but now I think he had to go get ready for his portion of this, so he's here. I'm giving myself gold sword. There's a couple ways to do this strat. So you're gonna walk in. You want to do ice rod first. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you've switched to fire rod first because I can't pause now while the explosions are happening. Let me kind of go through that one more time. So, wow, that's not the right rod. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. Switch to that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is with gold sword. It's a little different with the tempered. Sorry, kind of lost my train of thought there. Let's speed this fight up a little bit. I've got my gold sword. I'm going to walk directly left, dash turn up, fire down, and then I'm going to get my 3 shots in here. Talking and doing it are at the same time so hard. So let's do it and then we'll talk about it. All right, so what all did we just do there? When you walk into the room, don't hold up, don't hold a diagonal. Hold left until you're clear of Trinexx. And when you're clear of him, begin charging a dash by holding A, and then go from holding left to up so you run, like you dash turn upwards. So at this point, I'm going to get my ice rod ready. I'm going to tap right. Now I'm behind him. So we're going to fire down. And I missed, but that's okay. We've switched to fire rod already. This is what we call the 0 cycle. I think I'm going to still get 1 cycle out of this yet. But this is how you would avoid that. Tempered sword, you can kind of do the same strats. It's just you need 4 instead of 3. So we'll go through that right here. Oh, without quick swap, this is so much harder now. We got 2 frame perfect hits there. I just want to point that out. Where we refroze the head. We did it again. Jesus, I'm bad. For a tutor, I'm bad. What? I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am.
I mean, it's pretty good. I personally advise, especially in the mentor tournament, I personally advise against the backdoor strat if you only have
I do
temper
too.
sword. There's no shame in just going in it from the front and taking a little bit of time and, getting the kill.
My brain's dead, guys. Chat's right. It's 5, and that's why I'm not getting it. My brain is just totally fried talking to you guys about all these bosses. See, this is the thing. It's so ingrained in my head. I just do stuff. Like, it's really hard to talk about it, but I'm trying to for you guys. So thanks for keeping me honest and straight there. Let's do this. So yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite as fast, but yeah, you kind of get the idea. Let's talk about what you would do with Master Sword. You could spin, but you're gonna have hammer when you come here. This is what I would suggest doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the safest and quickest way that you can do.
Yeah,
One
if you
thing to
have...
keep in mind is you don't want to hammer the Trinexx head from the left if you're going for the fire head, or from the right. I guess on the right side it doesn't matter as much, but on the left, you sometimes have a tendency to get knocked back into the spikes, taking damage and also messing up your timing, and it's just going to be a bad time. So even though hammering up is usually not a great idea because of the short hammer hitbox, it's probably preferable here, or at least you need to be aware of not getting knocked back into the spikes when you're hammering into the head.
Yeah, and that's honestly the best way to do this. So left strat here for phase 2. I'm going to be slightly under him and to the left for a double spin and a slash. So let's go through this again. Sword out to the right, slightly under him and to the left. Release the spin for a double, which I didn't get, and that's fine. Just make sure you're aware that that's potentially going to happen.
And I think the most dangerous part of that is not that you're missing the double hit, but that you might potentially have Trinexx run into you, even though you expect him to die before he does that. And if that kills you, that's going to be a big time loss once again. So, just make sure you don't die rather than trying to go for something fast and then dying and having to do it all over again.
Yeah, if you have to do hammer hits here, like on Master Sword, which you could use that, the head is vulnerable while he is poking out here, and now the head is not vulnerable anymore, and it's that center portion. You do kind of want to stay in smaller patterns without being too small. You don't want to get really wide. Then he'll really start chasing you down in weird ways. So I like to stick to small, kind of oval-shaped patterns just to try to avoid him. So I'm going to get 2 free ones. I get 3. There's 4. I think I need 1 more. Yeah, done. And that's something that it just comes with practice. Again, we'll go through this one more time.
This is another thing that once you fight Trinexx a couple of times, you just kind of get a feel for how he moves and how he follows your movement. And then it's not very hard to get him to move in the way that you want him to and to dodge him reliably.
Yeah, as long as there's not a ton of ice on the floor. You let him PP on the floor, then this gets real hard. We call the ice the PP. Like, that's a big bad joke. But anyway. The thing about him, he's not like Moldorm. His whole body will damage you. So if you can keep him kind of condensed down where he's not fully expanded across the screen, that's always a good thing. We need 5 hits again. This is another patience is a virtue type thing. You don't want to go too terribly quick for this. If you do, this is going to happen like that's happening now where I'm missing and about to die. That's kind of it. This is kind of open floor for you guys. Is there anything you want me to cover? This boss, any other bosses really quick that before we wrap things up here that we can show you guys. Okay, so this is what happens. If you try to load a state there, it just Fs up.
Rip.
Ice Armos? Well, I was told to not touch GT. Yes, that is true. The head does do more damage, like Zelga said. We're not doing B Mothula. I always advise against releasing the B. Yeah, we'll show why it's a bad idea. That's actually a really good thing to say. One of the three hosts, who I love and respect dearly, thinks it's a good idea. It's or used to, until I convinced him it wasn't.
Wasn't me.
We'll never know. Let's see. Where do I give myself bottles? I use this thing so often. Gold B. All right. That's not a gold B.
It might just not look like one. The practice hack is not very good at changing sprites.
All right, so why this is a bad idea. Calls. You have no... He's not doing any damage, really, and you have no idea where he's going to hit the guy to, and I don't know what to do. He's just going bananas, and now he's gone. I survived it, luckily, but it's not fun. Don't do it. It looks like it's a good idea. It looks like he's destroying him, but he's really not. He only did like 8 HP worth of damage, by the way, when he hit him all those times.
On the other hand, in a blind fight, you can sometimes get a head to leave and chase a bee off screen. Not always, and it's definitely not something I would advise anyone to do because it's not very reliable. But it sometimes happens that it just, one of the heads just chases blind the bee off screen and off it goes.
Yeah. One last quick final thing for you guys. Where is the flute activation? Overworld Hammer Dash, Grove, Usain Bolt. After activating flute. This is it. All right. So let's give myself one thing. I'm going to show you guys the hardest or the easiest boss in the game. Where's the shroom? Powder.
I think you gotta set it in the bottles.
There we go. All right.
Oh, okay.
We never go in here, but there's a reason for it, because you don't want to be in here. See this chicken? We freed this chicken, but if you powder this chicken, it turns into a person. That's the hardest boss of the game. It's powdering the chicken.
That's crazy.
This works in Rando. It's pretty good. That's the only one that turns into a person, though. I just figured I'd show that off because it's kind of cute. Do the oh yeah, sweepy old woman. There is one there, really quick. Oh geez. All right, hang on. Game state. Zelda. All right, let's go in and out of the door.
Rip. You
She's
killed
gone.
her. You
She's
sent
gone.
her to the nether realm.
Okay, bye. And now I'm gonna
forever in the Twilight Zone.
She's forever gone. So yeah, that is gonna do it for me. Thank you guys. I hope this was useful. I'm not 100% sure it was. I don't really consider myself a good teacher. But hopefully this is something you can kind of go back and watch and get some use out of. I do appreciate Hurf being here with me. It's like, Hurf, what time is it for you? Like 1 billion o'clock a.m.?
No, it's almost 2 a.m. It's all right. We're good.
Hot. Well, I'm gonna do I don't know what plugs we got to do. So I'm just going to do the one. Make sure you listen to the podcast. You know, Temp, Herf, and I do a lot of stuff there. I don't know if it's any good stuff, but it's stuff. And, you know, we always like getting feedback from you guys. Herf, you got anything you want to add before we close this out?
I mean, thank you for doing this. Thank you for spending some time with us and teaching us all of this. It was really, really boring. I'm just kidding, of course. I'm just kidding. It was great, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm glad we got to hang out and teach these people some stuff. And it was a good time. Thankfully, tomorrow's a holiday, so I'm not really worried about staying up late. I hope you guys got some use out of this, and we weren't just blabbering along. And I hope everyone has a great night.
All right, guys. Have a good one.